Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna I'm gonna do a little guide to everything I did in the year of 2022. I'm gonna do this for 2023. I already did one for 2024, and I got really bored at the end of the first one, so that'll either be edited or I'll just put in something funny for the awkward silences or whatever. I'll like put in a little kazoo sounds or something, I don't know. So, in the year of 2022, I made 10 albums, and the year before, and because I feel like it's kind of hard to tell what's an album and what's an EP and all that. And, so the first one, it goes in impact font, Lush for Life, Hey Man Nice Past, the Beetleborg album, that's 4. Yeah. Then Giha, that's 5. Then Vicious Cycle, 6. Yamaphonic Bliss, which is 7. Fast Life, which is 8. Spectral Strife / Serenity, which is 9. And then Gradual Decline, which is 10. And I'm gonna get into some of those, and then after that I'll get into the EPs and maybe talk about the singles and what they were like. And this is a while ago by now. This is 3 years, going on 3 years since this happened, since I did all this, so I'll have to just recount to the best of my ability. So the first album, the first thing I did, the big difference this year was I switched to digital plugins and stuff like that instead of using the micro chord, which was really a pain in the ass. So I mean, this is kind of, I mean, everything I did the year before, it's still nice and I still like it and stuff, but it's people don't seem to like it as much. I feel like I'm just not doing my best work. So in impact font came out in February on the 12th, and yeah, I mean, I'm just reading here and it says I started it on January 25th, and then I didn't wait too long to release it, because it went by way quicker than I thought, and that's how the ridiculous prolific streak started. So that's got like the first track on that, it's like that's an older song from like 2020, like Niji Zugai Kutsu, which means rainbow skull. So it's pretty high concept. And like the first half is like happy music or whatever, and it's really dorky and stuff, but I just thought it was, I just gave it my all at the time, and I didn't really care. And then the second half starts with NASCAR Raver, which was like the first song that I was really proud of at the time, and I was like, this is what I could really be doing if I don't have to play what I'm writing and I can just put stuff in. And it was so fast. No one ever seemed to really like it that much, but I really liked it, and maybe you've heard it. I don't know. You can now if you want, but you don't have to. Or you can just, I don't know. I don't care what you do. And so then the second half was like kind of trying to get into like more aggressive stuff and sad stuff and depressive stuff, and then it ended with Undisclosed, which is I got the most compliments about that one, and and then at some point I kind of phased it out and for some other tracks on the album, and but it's really good. I shouldn't have phased it out, and I'll probably upload all this, and if I ever get the chance to upload everything I did from this year onward, with CD Baby, then I'll do it. But that's gonna it'll be like $100, and that's fine if it's over time. But yeah, this was a fun album. It wasn't the first thing I did like this that year, but it was it's got the most plays on Bandcamp. And like there's some early ambient stuff. It's got a beat, and I'm not happy with that. But there's some early ambient stuff on that, and there's like some kind of like EDM pastiches with a lot of triangle waves instead of square waves, which it took me like a year to realize that the triangle waves still sounded like square waves, and they still sound like video game music. And so now that entire year is kind of stained with chiptune sounds, which is fine, but it like just it does have a sometimes it was stilted, but at the same time the synth I was using, which was like this free Jupiter 6 emulation plugin synth that's 32 bits, and I still use it now, but yeah, like I was just starting out with this one and with that plugin, and that's what I used for like the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year I used like Dext, and then I kind of brought the Sega Genesis chiptune kind of thing into it and blended it together and stuff. So that's album number 1 in Impact font. And I gotta give out a disclaimer that when I was doing I already said, when I did the last video that was an overview of 2014, I got really fucking bored and I couldn't think of anything else to say, and I just felt like I was just wasting time doing the whole thing to begin with. So so this is really boring material, and if you don't give a shit, then you're probably not gonna like this. But if you're interested in just this vast body of work that I'm now stuck with, then this should, I don't know, it's therapeutic. I don't care, whatever. And so like on the first album, weird pictures of weird birds was just like supposed to be some kind of like metalcore kind of thing, sort of. And you can hear it's really squishy, but yeah. Life's How You Break It. I should probably explain that name because I was really into the Talk Talk song Life's What You Make It. I think like that January, and this came out in February. So I was like trying to make a song that was just like that awesome and that feel good and that like 80s kind of like beauty that Talk Talk song has. So if you want to hear me talk about Talk Talk, I'm not gonna have a whole lot to say because I checked out everything they did, and I like Spirit of Eden, and Laughingstock seemed cool, and I'll probably what is it? The Color of Spring, I think. I'll probably revisit those, but I didn't like them that much. But I really loved that one song, Life's What You Make It. It's like the baby, life's what you make it. It's like that song, and it's that song. What's his face? I don't know. I don't remember the name of the Talk Talk guy, but he passed away. So that song's based on Talk Talk. Track 2, Life's How You Break It, in Impact font in the first album. And so and Micro Babylon was supposed to be kind of like the sort of just random notes in a key sort of thing that I used to do with Korg DSN-12 when I started out. And it's just interesting because it's like mechanical and it's all synthy, and it sounds weird, but it's like it can be uplifting or it can be sad. Or I haven't done anything like that because I kind of just forgot about that, and I was too interested in doing new things and chasing, like forming my own style and stuff at the time. But that's what Micro Babylon is all about. So there you go. So that's all for that one. And so Lush for Life, the album name is a reference to Lust for Life by Iggy Pop. And I like that guy. He's cool. And this is probably like this is album 2. And it came out I started it like at the beginning of March. And I released it in less than 2 weeks. And I think it's really good compared to some of the other stuff. Like Joke was the song that I'd lost, and like I just made it one day on a school piano on in like early 2019. And so this was like the official studio version of it, and I thought it'd be good as an opener, and this was all with the synth, and it's just some chill song. And I think in the finished version it's a little creepy. It's kind of like so pretty, it's like creepy because of some stuff, but I just didn't really mess with it too much, and I just left it like the way that it was. So maybe I'll do something else, but I do think it's better on the piano. Joke, the first track on Lush for Life, which is the second album of 2022. And then there was Violet Reverberations, which kind of took off a little bit, and a lot of people were telling me, like, dude, this is really good. And just, it's kind of a magical thing, because like it's something about it, like everyone was like, oh, it's got a good vibe, and they're like, oh, I like it. And that was a single and stuff too. And Violet Reverberations was just some shit that I whipped up, and then I remembered when I was making it, I like realized how like some people might find it kind of cute. So, just thinking about stuff that people said about my music in the past, I'm like, oh, this kind of sounds like that kind of thing. But like to me, it's not just cute; it's very passionate. It's just it's got this like serious concern for life or something. And it's also very like futuristic sounding, even though I wouldn't say anything I was doing at that point sounded very futuristic. It was all very rooted in retro synthesizers and stuff, but just everything came together really well, and people said they liked it, and I still like it. Okay, yeah, so I mean that's a good choice for a single, and it was a very serendipitous single, because I just made it, and then I'm like, this is good, this should be the single, and then I just put it out. I just made the art with my mouse in GIMP, and I put it out, and then I just made the B-side and just put it out, and it felt all good. And then Healing Tech was something very fast. That was like this is track 3 off of Lush for Life, which came out in March, and it's album number 2. Just something really uplifting or something really determined, or like something like, it's like, yeah, I can get this shit done. And it's really fast, and the drums are really heavy. And so so it's Healing Tech, and yeah, it turned out longer than it really should have been, but I made a lot of parts on the spot, and this was a big transition into writing all my stuff in the computer instead of writing it on piano. So was the track for it, but this was like another one where I like really knew what I was doing. And the tech thing is I don't know if anyone else says this, but it's just shorthand for techno, so it's like healing techno or something, and it just sounds cool. And I haven't done it since. I've done it. I mean, I did it a lot this year, but I didn't do it too much, and like it's just a through line sort of thing to help people know when something is really techno or something, EDM, old school EDM. I guess nothing I ever do is gonna be old school EDM, and it's not supposed to be either. So then track 4, Regressive Moments, is like it's actually got limiter on the master, and yeah, it's got square waves in it, but it's supposed to be really aggressive and like battle music or like some ongoing life struggle music or something, or just something really rowdy or something. And that one took the longest to make because it has the most parts, because I wanted it to be really good. And then the chorus repeats a lot. I think I kind of wrote it on the piano, but I wrote the melody in the computer, and that was one of the earliest ones for the album that I did. And so it just gets really chaotic at the end. It just uses tone clusters, and that's the inside one. And then this track 5 is The Slugs Are Coming Back, which is named by my friend Jim, because he's a writer. And he was just he said something to me once about like, or I think it was, I just asked him to name something, and he's talking about how slug infestations can be really bad, and it's really gross. But like, and then he said at one point, like, sometimes the worst thing you can say to someone is, the slugs are coming back. And I thought that was really funny and silly, so I named it. And that was just like really just some lighthearted song or something, and it's not that interesting. And Fairy Juke was an early one I made, and I made it when I was really frustrated with my I made it for 2 reasons. I made it for 3 reasons: to try to make like a juke song, like a footwork song, to make music for my friend Jarl, because he asked for fairy music once, and it took me a while to show it to him, but eventually he heard it. And 3, I also like to make fairy music. I think since learned to making pretty little fairy music pretty well, yeah. And I made it with a frustration in my own work that everything was too repetitive, which is something I eventually overcame, and I just made my own thing of it. And I think people still think it's repetitive, but I think they just aren't listening that hard enough, because I'll get into that some other time. And then Atom Smasher Shit was like actually the very first track I started, and it was one of the last ones I finished. And it's a Flying Lotus reference, because he has a song called Zodiac Shit, and I don't know, I like homage. Oh, I'm not talking about the art. Yeah, but yeah, so I just made that really urgent and really sad, or whatever the fuck I was going for, and I still go for it. It's that I can't even really define that well, other than it's like really passionate, urgent music that's like a punk song or something, or like emotronica, I sometimes call it. Yeah, so like track 7. And then that has a little outro that I really like, and I think that's probably the best part of the song. And then the last song on it, Disco Man, was just some random song I wrote. But yeah, I just made it, and I didn't think I put it on the album, but I just put it on the album. And I really like that the bridge. It's very it's just a dorky song. I don't know. It's like some dorky. I have no idea what I was going for. I don't remember anymore. But or I was going for like a credits scene sort of thing, like a staff roll kind of thing, I think. Okay, so that's the end of that album. And the art for that album The art for that album was something I just drew with marker. It's just like a girl with a face mask and pink hair with like a background. And I made that in like 2015, late 2015, and so that was like one of the first ones I used as an album cover, just repurposed. And yeah, I guess this was like my 10th album overall, and come a long way. So yeah, that's Lush for Life, album number 2. And so then we go on to album number 3, which came out later, but I'm going to be talking about these in the order that I made them, because sometimes there's a difference there. So Hey Man Nice Past, the art was done by Cam Collins, who's a friend of mine. He has this game series, Copper Odyssey and stuff, and he's a very good artist. And so this was like a big turning point in my style, and I think where I started losing a lot of different people. So I mean, for a while I thought this was like my masterwork or some shit, and it's really good. I still like it now, but like I don't know. I've kind of listened to it so much that I got bored with it. So the name was just like some joke or something, because it's an album dealing with like trauma, like my own personal trauma and stuff like that, and trying to overcome it and make an album out of it. So the first half is like a weird thing that's like hardcore techno, but it's not, or it's like it's just really chaotic music, and I call it emotronica, and it's not like what everyone else would call emotronica. Anything that I say is like emotronica. Like they're talking about like some MCR sounding thing that sounds like Moby, or like some sort of thing like that with vocals, and that's not what I mean. But like that's like one of the only things I can use to describe some of the music that I do. So like Curmudgeon at Birth was like one of the first songs I did, and the concept behind that song is, I mean, all it is like some 2 5s, and it's going chromatically, so, but it loops around. I still remember, I don't remember it, like what pitches they were, but I don't remember what the harmony was like. It was like 2 5s, and then going up a semitone, and then going down 3 semitones, and then going up 1 semitone again. So it's just like completely non-functional and really chromatic, and so that's not the concept, but the concept is, this is album number 3, this is Hey Man Nice Past, but the concept was like, just to make something, well really I don't think I thought about it as much when I was making it, and this is about track 1, but I was just trying to make something just really sad and soulful, and something really conflicted. And then the B part, yeah, the thing for this album is that they're all 3 parts and they loop once every song, even the piano songs, except that one doesn't loop. But the B part was like mourning the loss of somebody, but also having fun memories and warm feelings at the same time. So it's like fleeting moments of happiness, and it meant a lot to me, and it just really reminded me of some people that I lost at one point. And yeah, and from a stylistic point of view, that was like the first song that I broke out the Sega Genesis sound chip sounding stuff and mixed it in with the synth stuff. And that one's mostly that. I remember I was really disappointed because I was in the server once, and I showed them this song and then the last track on that, which I'm also gonna have a lot to say about. And they were just like, yeah, like they weren't like, oh damn, this is like really emotional. I mean, I guess that's not gonna happen most of the time, but they were just like, yeah, and they were putting little gifs of like Link doing some crumping or something, and then just, yeah, video game music, yeah, and like it was just totally lost on them, and no one gave a shit, and they're just making fun of my username and stuff, and then the second one that which is the last song on the album, that was some people kind of received that well, like they were like, oh, this is triumphant, and it's like, yeah, it's something like that. And so then track 2, Sacrilege Boogie, is it is what you think it is, which you might not even have any idea of what it's about, but it's just like some really really aggressive like house track, and by this point these were the only tracks that I'd made for the album, and I had this one experience that like made me value this album a lot, and I've really only had this experience like one other time with an album. But I was just listening to it, and I had like some all-nighter that I didn't want to have, and then I was like really determined to make the album really good, and so I was just listening to it, and I just broke down crying listening to like these 3 songs. I mean the 4 songs, because there's like the intro to the last song. But yeah, I mean it just resonated in some way, and it was just like it's either so sad or so aggressive, and I tend to cry at things that are really aggressive, and I feel it, and or something that's really chaotic and I really feel it. Like when I saw Godzilla -1, I cried at the part that was like one of the scary parts, because it had like human reactions of people and like horrible things happening with Godzilla. Like, I have this thing, and it's just, I don't know, and it hasn't happened in a while. I haven't really cried at anything in a while, so we'll see what happens. And, so track 3 was, like, the next song I did, and that was kind of just, like, some sad thing, like, and then, Regrettably Good, that was another one that I did earlier on, that had more Sega Genesis stuff, and was trying to be more soulful. Old School Drowning was the name that one of my that my cousin he thought that was really funny, and he made some really funny jokes, and it stuck a while because it just didn't make any sense, and it's not supposed to make any sense. And then it comes to a head with Sacrilege Blues, and then there's 80s Hell, which is one that I remember my friends told me that he really liked, and on SoundCloud that was one of the first ones that like someone spoke out and said like your stuff was like amazing and really good, and you like told me that I was talented and shit like that. That was like the first time pretty much on that website that someone was on 80s Hell. So, and I actually went back and I re-released that without the beat, and it's cool. And so then it just like comes to some dramatic head, And then there's Desire for Androgyny, which I named it like that because well, I mean because of personal reasons, and for like truth-seeking reasons, and also because the song sounded really like androgynous to me, because it has like really sparkly synthesizer, but it has like super heavy and lumbering a beat to it. And then I think that's either the starter side one. I don't know how I should split the sides, but who knows if it'll even matter. And then Freeze Over Your Aggressions is where it gets kind of happier. And then Love Theme for Dude, Where's My Car? It was actually like a song that was like, at that point, I think, and this came out, well, it came out later, but I recorded it in April, and I spent like a month on it. So it was like a 5-month-old song on piano at that point, so I turned it into this like hyper trap kind of thing with an 808. And it's probably my trappiest song, and it was also one of my fastest songs at that point. And it's a nice song, and it doesn't, I don't know, it's short, but it's fun. And then like Flora is like a personal thing, and that's like a happy song. And then there's some like filler stuff that was just really happy, so I just put it all on the second side because it didn't fit in with the first side. Like Uninformed Trance, and I actually went on later and I made a song called Informed Trance, and I don't know if anyone ever noticed that, but I noticed these things. And then there's a piano track, and then there's a big intro, and then there's the last song. And the last song is Positive Cosmos, the Posmos, and now I just call it Posmos. And I've revisited that song, and like that's like one of the only songs that like I wrote in the computer that I went back and figured out on piano, and then I went back and re-put it into the computer without using any MIDI files or anything. I just transcribed it again, and it was really hard to do that. But yeah, so like I last year I did another version of the song, but this song was like the impetus for the whole album. And because something about it was like, I was just trying to make a B-side for another song that like didn't really go anywhere. I don't really like it that much, but it was like an 8-minute song, so I wanted to just do this like really short burst of like high energy and make a really cool B-side. So I cranked the BPM up to 200 and I just wrote, and to me it sounded like some sort of like romantic space song or something, like about some kind of weird, some transcendental, triumphant, heroic. It's just really cornball, I think, but it's something I seriously value. Just something like something really baked in ecstasy. And like Gradius music, like the same sort of vibe that Gradius 3 and other Gradius music gives you. It's just this beautiful journey through space or something with like some like your partner or something. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. And it's also very punk. Like it was where the punk kind of showing through, because there's like deep beats on it and it's really fast. So this is like one of the first ones that like I was like, okay, this is kind of synth punk, which is something that I forget about, but I try and do a lot of the time. And so that's the last track. And yeah, so this was just Cam did the art, and I released it in July. It took a while but I mean I don't make a lot of money on Bandcamp right now, but that one's made a fair bit of money. And so we're at 35 minutes, and we're only at album 3. So I don't know, maybe it'll get less interesting and I'll have less shit to say. or less shit to explain. Like, well, I won't have to explain myself as much as I feel the need to. But yeah, so that was like my first synth punk album thing. I didn't even yeah, I didn't even put that in the genres, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I've already been labeled as synth punk. So then I made two I made two EPs before this, but I'll talk about that later. And so then after that, I was at a point where like maybe I can get a job, so I applied for some jobs, and I didn't get any of them for whatever reason, whatever shitty reason. So then I made the fourth album, which was the Beetleborg album, and this is one that is like higher up in the Bandcamp plays. I did the art for this one. I just wrote it on the back of like some card for like my I think it was probably for like my therapist or whatever, and I just drew that and then I mirrored it in GIMP, and it's a cool picture. So this one I get kind of bored with, but like this is where I officially kind of gave up on trying to find jobs due to my disability and stuff. And this is also the point where it kind of progressed, and I'll talk about that a little bit because it's kind of important. But yeah, so like on this album, it was like just trying to make all sorts of different kinds of things. Like Pitch Black was like some city pop kind of thing, some instrumental city pop funk. Beautiful thing. It's a really good song, so I think it holds up. Pitch Black, the first track on album number 4. And then there's Chernobyl Stoner Comedy, which is probably one of my more popular tracks from around this time. Because it's just like some hardcore techno thing that's really chaotic, but kind of pretty, and it's like this weird kind of catharsis from it. And it's a really simple song too. It's only like 4 sections or whatever. It still goes really hard. Yeah. And then there's some other stuff like there's some stuff that even I'm not interested in anymore. But like Urban Tropical is one that like my cousin like loved, and he had a really good reaction to it. And I share a lot of music with my cousin. And but he loved that one. So and that was just like some sort of Tropicalia kind of sort of thing. As you can tell by the title. But like house. And there was a moment in that song that goes like this. I don't know if this picks up, but I'll just put it in there. And that kind of set a standard for like 8-bar sections of songs, because my cousin really liked it. And so just, if a song isn't working, just go really hard in like an 8-bar section and add as many chord changes as you can and make as many changes to the lead and different things going on, and then it just sounds like magic. And Miracle Rip, which is track 7, that was like some sort of thing with like heavy Genesis bass, and it's just really sad or something. My weird little niche thing. Sacred Theme is an ambient song. There was actually one outtake from this album, but and that was House Rot, and certain viewers might know that song, but that got switched out for Changing Your Mind Rot, and that was like an instance of it really going to show. Sometimes I go back to songs that I cut off an album and I'm like, that could have been good, but that's one where it's like, no, this thing is dog shit. It's really good that I replaced it, because the replacement song is really good. So, and then there was one song that had a little intro track, and it was just like some guy on the Boards of Canada server, the Magic Window. I don't know what he's doing now. He's not in there anymore, but he just Defies Solipsis was his name, and he just did that, and I just put it on the album, and I did that with one other album. And then there was another really cool one, but it kind of didn't pan out. I don't even know if I have it. I don't know if there's any way to get it anymore unless I just asked him for it. But yeah. So he's cool. He's a cool he's really cool at making experimental sound design and stuff. And so that's album number 4. Album number 5. This is one that it's very personal. I mean, it was about something that I thought was really important to me, but I realized much later, like some real life thing and people that I thought was, and a person I thought was really important to me, but I realized later that it was just really not important at all, and there wasn't much of anything going there. And it's called Giha, and the art is some art that I came up with for like some other album that I was gonna make, and it didn't pan out. And yeah, but this album, I think it was pretty solid, because the first song, Fight Like It Means Everything, was like, it was a very sentimental, pretty glam house techno kind of thing. It's just something about, yeah, I mean, this was about like this like meltdown period of my life, and trying to explain it to people who aren't interested in finding out the answer. And yeah, this album was like directly about that. So the first song is just like some beautiful techno song made in the image of somebody, and I think that's probably the nicest thing that ever happened and came out of it. And then there's the title track, which is track 2, which is supposed to embody guilt, and I don't think that's that anyone can really read that from it, but it's just like guilt and misery and just really awful feelings and stuff. And this was a fun one, like Giha, like the second track. Like the only time that on my old laptop, in my old version of Ableton, that I had the this is album number 5, I think. Yeah. And it's a mini album too. It's based on my friend Ranger BTS's like debut album, which was only like 21 minutes or something. But this one, like Giha, like Ableton totally crashed, and I didn't save a whole section, so I was like, fuck. And I went back, I opened up Ableton again, and I just recreated it, all the notes, one of the sections, all the notes, bit by bit from memory, and then some of it was kind of like not exactly it, but the chords and then there was this one melody. It's like dun, 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 or something like that. Like, it really only makes sense over those chords. I just made that from scratch, from memory, and remade that. I was like, okay, and I just ended the song. So if you didn't hear that, I'll just put it in. And then track 3 in that zone was entirely with sine waves, and it's a waltz thing in 3/4, and that used some field recordings, and it's nothing but just a pure sine wave. I can't remember how many tracks of sines it was, but that is a reprise of this old song called SH, and like it's something that not a lot of people get or have the patience to get, and just as an improvisation, that old song, I'll talk about it in some other video someday, maybe, and that's gonna take a while to like get up to, but like that like is a little reprise of that as a waltz, as the music, and it's one of the lo-fi songs or whatever. So it's also like 10 minutes, I think, or 11 minutes or 8 minutes, and it's just a straight improvisation on the synthesizer. I'm talking about this other song that's not really related, but it was like just a drum machine and a synth and the microchord, and it's just a jam. I don't know, it still holds up for me, but I don't know, it doesn't matter anymore. And then Not for Martyrs, track 4 was supposed to be like some sort of LCD Dem kind of thing, and then the song I was looking for was like, because it's just that was written on the piano, and I just found the original file. I retitled it, and because I was looking for it, so I just named it that, and then so the full song is just called that, because I just didn't really give a shit, and I don't really care about the names that much as I do now or whatever. And then I Give You Never was a cool one. It was very based on just like some kind of Shinji Hosoe super sweep, like Street Fighter EX kind of thing. Super sentimental and stuff. And it's supposed to be like oh well, the ending was bad, but like, whatever. These things are still good. And then the last 2 tracks on that album are like old songs I redid, and I'm not even happy with those remake versions either, because it's just something about it, like, I don't know if they'll ever translate well. Well, one song was one I lost the file to entirely when it was a lo-fi song, and that was track 7. And track 8 is released, and it has an EP dedicated to it, and it was very that was during the meltdown and stuff. So and I just like, that was like some high that I was trying to reach again, and I couldn't, so I just had to work on other things, and it was very it's stuff that doesn't matter anymore, and yeah, this was August, so this was like getting into the second half. So then there's album number 6, Vicious Cycle. I'm just gonna pause for a bit, I think. And then I'll put these two videos together. And I'll put a hat on so you can tell that to signify that we're past the halfway point, because this shit's like 50 minutes right now. Okay, so album number 6, Vicious Cycle. That was kind of just like another one of those albums that I made out of my ass, pretty much, and I just improvised the whole track list and stuff. And that was the first one on DistroKid, and it's gonna be on CD Baby soon, because I don't like DistroKid, and you shouldn't like DistroKid. And I haven't gotten a single dime from DistroKid, but I've gotten like 25 bucks from CD Baby, so it's all good on there, at least. So that one is yeah, that was just made in August, and this one was kind of more conceptual, and I'm very fond of this album. The art is just some random page from a sketchbook back in college with a robot on it and a lot of red, and there's also like a sunset in the background. I didn't really get the levels right. I don't know. Maybe I can fix that. And then there's like a frowny guy in pink on the cover art. I did that one. I drew it. And OG Oh Boy is like trying to do like a really happy song, like when I was getting into just really dorky, happy, ridiculously excited music. And the name is a reference to the Link from the CDI games, because I relate to him. From the Zelda games for the Philips CDI, you know, whatever. Because I grew up with that shit, so, you know, whatever. So it's just like some gleeful, like frolicking kind of song, and it's really popular on YouTube. And I'm really glad if that ends up being one of my best known songs, and I'm gonna have to take that upload down eventually. So all those views are gonna have to be sacrificed. But that's where I started with that. Vicious Cycle was just like some power pop kind of thing, articulating signs. I'm not gonna talk about the backstory to this album title, because I don't know. Because I had another really bad idea for the album title, and someone was like, "No, it's a really bad idea. Don't do that." And I was like, "Okay." And I think I did that. You can probably go see what it is somewhere, but I changed it like after I released it. And this is also the album that where I started actually mixing them, because like for the last 3 they just all had limiter on the master, and it sounded like shit. And that's what I'm trying to remaster them at this point, and it's really hard, but I hope I can get it done. So Articulating Signs is one of my favorite old tracks of mine from that year, because it just goes really hard and it's a banger and stuff, and it's like footwork with an 808, but it's really fast and stuff, and everything in that, pretty much everything in that is a sine wave. And then Whack Images of Frogs was a reference to Weird Images of Weird Birds, in that it's kind of like a metalcore thing with synths. And if that became, I mean, I've gone on to do stuff in that actually fleshes out that idea a little more, and it's a lot better than that song. So I'm glad that stuff has gotten a wider release than this one did. And Foxhead was just like some chill sort of thing. And then it goes into like this country swung thing at the end. twangy YM2612 sorts of things. And so that's kind of like a musical joke there. And Second Chance Tech is another one of the Tech songs, and that one took a whole day, and that was one of my favorites. And that was where I found out how you can do cool stuff if you stack fifths. And in this case, it was with the plugin, because there's a way you can automatically stack fifths. And it's just like some really trippy, futuristic, edgy techno sort of thing, focusing more on the textures. A whole friggin' Star War is track 7, and it was just like some really fast thing. It was originally named Holy Rolla, but I figured that would be kind of mean, since that's kind of like a slur. Like a holy roller is some derogatory term towards like Christians and stuff, and I don't like that kind of thing. No matter who it is, that sort of thing is dangerous. So I deemed it a slur, and I didn't name it that. But there's the backstory, and that's how I feel about slurs in general. Naming songs is so fun. It's probably my least favorite track, but it's just like yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything really interesting going there. But track 9 is like a 9-minute track, and this one took 2 days to make. And it was just trying to make like some really long song that has some sort of conflict, and it just happens to be named She. It's not like the Green Day She, like it's not like a love song. It's more of like some kind of like, I don't know. That was the coolest thing I could have called it. And it's just a song with a lot of emotional complication going on. And it really goes places. And I think that's definitely a highlight for me. And then the next track, He, was like the companion piece to that song. And that's an idea for a song that I had a couple times starting with 2022. And I really only pulled it off right with Conversion off of Furious Focus, which came out in 2024. Just some really heavy, grueling thing that's like really brutal, and just with really weird sounds and no discernible melody and stuff. But I didn't do it so well here. And then there's Vicious Cycle Reprise, which is a fun one. It's really nice. It's really short. I wish I'd done more reprises than just this one. But yeah, it's just track 2, but faster and different, and with realistic drums instead of the CR7D8 drum machine emulation thing. So and the Vicious Cycle was because like I thought I felt like I lost some friends and stuff, and like after the big meltdown I had when shit went down and stuff with my brain, I lost a lot of friends, and then so I thought I was gonna lose a lot of friends again, and then I didn't, luckily. But that's what the name Vicious Cycle came from. So that's album number 6, and then that goes on. These ones are like all out of order and stuff, and but then the next one was Yamaphonic Bliss, which is album. The numbering might be completely off. No, that's it. Yeah, it's album number 7. And this was the last album that I made while my brother was living with us, so I got to share some of that with him. And this one seemed to do pretty well. And this was the first one where I tried to make it just like solely on well, I mean, at first it was just YM2612, Sega Genesis, and more VGM sorts of things. And then I got Dex, so that became a part of it. Just the DX7. So just Yamaha FM synth sort of patches. I hadn't gotten into designing anything in that yet. And up until like 2024, I didn't really design anything with any FM or anything. And it's all just patches, and it's just songwriting, baby. It's just making tunes. It's fun that way. I don't know. And so Harboring Something is like some really fast semi-rodeo thing, and that one is just, it's one of those ones where I look back as proof that I can achieve great heights and not know how to get there anymore, because during the period of meltdown and crisis and stuff, I just thought I'd never ever be able to do anything that good ever again. And it was just like a waste, because like it was, a lot of it was kind of stupid, and it was like wasted energy. But and I don't totally feel that way about all that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that is like that. But like Harboring Something, track 1 from album 7, that was like proof that like you can it happens again, and you can really be on to something again. And then so 2, Nostalgia Afterglow, that was a single. And it was like a happy hardcore kind of thing with like, because that was when Hudson Mohawk put out that one album he put out in 2022, and Vic Stan came out, and I just heard that casually because Tonkla posted it, and I was like, ooh. And it was just really fun. And that was in video with Patty Harrison and Sandy Honig and that basketball player. It's really cool shit. So I just made a song based off of that. And that's all just stabs. It's a really fun song because it's so fast. It's so good. You can dance really goofily to it, even if you can't dance. And it's a really fun song, Nostalgia Afterglow. And Swervy Samba was just one that it actually got played on some podcasts that ran into my music and liked it, and I forgot to ever check in with them. It was like something about chiptune and pizza, maybe just like chiptune pizza or something. And yeah, I forgot about them entirely, but they featured that song on there, and it was just like a samba song, because I've tried covering some old bossa nova songs, but it was just too hard and I didn't know what to do. So I tried to like emulate that sort of sense of rhythm that a lot of old bossa nova has. So that was Swervy Samba. FM Out Back was just something I wrote on the piano. And it was just like an interlude, just really minimal. And it's just a short song. And then the next 4 tracks, like Sudden Death Sunset or Sunrise or whatever I accidentally called it on what, I don't know, were songs from my friend's game. And it's still a work in progress, but I just put those songs out. and that was when the game had like was kind of gonna be kind of morbid, like Happy Tree Friends or something. So I was like, fuck it, and I just tried to soundtrack that kind of thing, and he liked them all, so it's good. Like if even I have an old song called "Frightful Epidemic" that it's really simplistic when I look at it now, but it was just like wild MIDI melodies and stuff, and like so these are from the same game idea. So it's like he asked for something deep, so I just gave him something deep, and he liked these. And then Legion Funk is just like the end of side 1. Meditative Astro is like the start of the ambient leg. And it's just some really nice sort of stellar, relaxing kind of song. It's a nice one. And then Patient is another ambient track. And it doesn't really have anything to do with any Yamaha. Well, I think it has like some DX7 patches, but it has nothing to do with it. But it's just like an earlier ambient track before I do them how I do them now in 2025. And then Yamaha DX Heaven is was like the first thing I did when I got Dexed. And then it's just really like ethereal or something. It's just really FM, and it's really 80s, and it's really cool. And Nodelay kind of took off. People really liked that one, even though it had nothing to do with any Yamaha anything. But it was based off of Lewis Cole's what is it, quantity over quality over opinion or something. I forget what it's called, but that was based off of I'm Tight, because it just goes on forever. And I guess that was pretty much to the extent that I was willing to like make an homage to that. But that ends. It's a fun little song, and it ends and it slows down, and then it just hits you with that slow thing in the stabs, and I was really proud of that moment. And then I love that is like the functional last track, which is like my idea of like what some credits theme should be for a game. It's just really happy, and it's just something where I knew that my weird particularities amounted to something. Like, because when you're just a fan of music, like, your particularities don't really go anywhere, but when you make music, your particularities are who you are, pretty much. And you just gotta try and expand your particularities, I guess, and just keep making stuff. So that one is just really really happy, but it's because it's all minor stuff, but it's just got this happiness to it, or this like overcoming feeling, or it's like thanking the listener or something. Yeah, so that's what I love that is. And then Sunset Eyes was for Battle of the Bits, and that was like entirely with the DX7, and that was for the City Pop Battle. It didn't do so well, but people liked it. And this took like Cam did the art for this again, Cam Collins, because at that point he was like really, yeah, and okay, yeah, Cam was like one of my only artists I had at my disposal, so I gave him the picture you see on the YouTube profile of the green star lady, and if you know that's from Rystar, that's from Rystar, but it's just this green star lady in space. And I sent that to him, and I asked him to do some pixel art that was similar to that, and that's what he got. And it's really clean, and has some celestial being, I think with eyelashes. and someone in a spaceship. And that's what it is for Yamaphonic Bliss, the 7th album. And so then Fast Life, which is album number 8. So Yamaphonic Bliss was released in November, but it was that was like what happened in September. And then at the end of that, I didn't know what to make, so I was just spitballing and stuff. And so that led to Fast Life, which is if depending on how my DistroKid membership ends, that might be the only one left over. But this was like my personal favorite album that I did up to this point. And I've heard it so many times at this point that I don't like it as much. But still, like, there's a chance for more people to hear it and stuff. And this one, Fast Life, album number 8, was recorded in 5 days. And it was like supposed to be like a techno-centric album, even though there's some square waves in it still. But just trying to get cool tones out of the Jupiter plugin and have a lot of 4 on the floor shit. So the order that went in was like was the first track. I did the first track, Gentle Face, first, and then I did the second track next. And so the first track is like some DX7 stuff mixed with some Jupiter 6 stuff, and it was something really divine sounding, I think, or something like some kind and loving God or something, like an encounter with one or something, or I don't know. And then like there's a big payoff at the end where everything is really subdued but just huge. And I remember it was clicking really hard. So, but just something about that is like this condensed activity in Gentle Face. Just really optimistic. And it's just a nice opener. And then some real blast processing was track 2, and the second track I did. That was just like some life-affirming kind of dance pop sort of thing, but like with the DX or the YM2612 and shit. And I really liked it and stuff. And so then I made everything is pretty much in the order that I made it in. And then I think on day 2 I made Igloo, and that was based off of Carrier District, which is Luke Vibert, and it was based off of a song, Carrier District 3. And it doesn't really sound like that, but it was just, after listening to that, it was just what I wanted to make. And it's also, it's got a mix of Frank Zappa, and I don't like Frank Zappa, but in Catholic Girls, there's the part where it gets really chill. So that was like me trying to emulate that, but without all the weird lyrics and stuff, and like the misogyny and shit. Like the satirical misogyny or whatever the fuck's going on there. Which is no joke. Yeah, so that's what Igloo is. It's just, it sounds cool. And what it was like, oh, it's like house music, but it's like Arctic. So it's like an ice house, and you know what an ice house is? It's an igloo, and that's why it's called Igloo, and because it was cute. And so then I started Failure Man, the last track, but Good Future was, I was like super proud of that, and I played that at like my first live show, solo live show. That was the song I made sure to play. And that was just like, I came up with a really cool chord progression, and I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking make this the whole song, like how a lot of techno and house is. And but trying to improve on that somehow. So it's just that chord progression, and it's just handled very like very teasingly. Like it teases you with what it's gonna sound like, and then it plays it once, and then the drum beat comes in once, and then it switches up, and then it sounds different immediately. And it's just something that would be good on the dance floor or something. And then there's one part there where it sounds like accordion or like oboe and clarinet, and that was all on the DX7, and that was actually like a joke. Like, I was just testing out patches, and I'm like, this sounds really goofy. And so I play it like twice instead of the usual 4 or whatever it was. And then I do like a crash to get out of it. It's like, now we're getting back to the good stuff. And then there's like a cool breakdown at the end where it just gets really psychedelic. And that's actually a track that I won't be able to remaster correctly, because I lost the ending, which is just the squiggly filter cutoff stuff with the same riff over and over again, and it's all chill and it just goes for a while. And that was like as live as that kind of thing can be in a plugin, like without automation. Yeah, I just arm record and I just play with the cutoff filter in the plugin menu, which is how I do a lot of that sort of squishy stuff. Yeah, but on the master file for that, it got corrupted and the MP3 is not there, so I'll have to do something else. Well, no, just forget that entirely, because I don't have to remaster this, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's a highlight. And then Cosmo Samba was just trying to do like some samba, bossa nova inspired thing. And because I didn't get any sleep that night, like in the middle of making the album, and that was a pain in the ass, but I just still kept working, and I got one song done, and it was Cosmo Samba. And so there's a reoccurring theme of whenever I do an all-nighter and I listen to something new I'm making, I shed tears to it, and that happened in this song, because just something clicked. I don't know, it was weird, but it was beautiful. And I actually did Slow Life like the night of the all-nighter, which is where the title of the album comes from, Fast Life. And you know, that one is just kind of like, the concept was to do something really subdued and kind of reflective in a sad way, or just to make something of reflecting over something that gives you pain. And I didn't think I was gonna record it, include it, and I went back to it and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And so then I included it. And Corkscrew is essentially filler, but it's just trying to make a good melody and have it carry the whole song. And I think the synth sounds I got out of that were pretty cool up here. Okay, so Corkscrew had some cool sounds coming out of the Jupiter, like lifelike sounds that didn't just sound flat or like anything like a square wave or triangle wave, and it just sounds like a cool synthesizer. And that was like The most powerful synth that I had at the time was the Jupiter 61, made by Synthmaker. Is their name, I think. Synth something, and it's like Roland J60. It's just some free synth that I hope it's not lost by now, because I've made a long because just a brief history of me and that plugin. Like the stuff, if you check, and like the stuff I was making in 2019 before I did everything else, like did the lo-fi shit, that was all using that synth. And that was another thing, like it was just that one and then Wavetable in Ableton 10, and I got some pretty cool sounds. Like there's a song I did called Dent that was like just straight up weird sounds coming out of that VST, and that's one of those songs that kind of like I felt like I couldn't get a grasp on it ever again, but I've been doing different stuff, so I don't know. And so then Failure Man is the one that took the longest. It took pretty much the whole course of 5 days. And that one's just like a straight up trying to make more music that sounds like Streets of Rage 3. And it's just like experimental hardcore techno and stuff. And that's probably the most niche thing that I have anything to do with. But it's a good niche. It's a good cause. So that's Fast Life, which was album number 8, and that came out in October 9th. And so then I worked on the second to last album, and that was like an hour-long album. And that's currently the only album from this year that's on Rate Your Music for me. But I don't like to do much of anything over there on my own. I like to just have other people do it. Because it's weird. So oh, and the art for Fast Life for 8 was something I drew in 2019. It was supposed to be like a self-portrait, and I'm sure if you're looking at it right now, you can tell there's a resemblance. There's a clear resemblance, or whatever, or some kind of like kaiju persona sort of thing. It's just a really gnarly, cool drawing I did. And so then album number 9 was Spectral, Strife / Serenity. Can't even pronounce my own album name. But that one took like a whole month. Yeah. And the art actually got finished afterwards, and I'll talk about it afterwards. But like that was like an hour-long album. It's like exactly an hour long, and that was kind of the album where I started getting some traction on SoundCloud. So like Pumped Waltz Pop is just some really out there waltz that I did, and it's fun. It's just really dancey, and it's really simplistic and stuff. And there's a drum solo in it. And this was when I started getting into the 707 drum machine, the Roland TR-707, and using that for like rockier things instead of purely house or whatever, because it's like really cartoon drums, because they're really punchy and they're really powerful. I don't use it so much anymore because it sounds so fake, But I mean, everything else I do for drums is fake anyway, and you know, whatever. And then Light Optimism was like, it's just a song that was like all YM2612, and I just did that, and I just thought it sounded really good. It's like emotronica. It's like some emo chip kind of thing. I don't know. It just has some kind of like hoping there's a like something that you really want something, and then you're just waiting it out and hoping that there's a day where that thing comes. That's like Light Optimism. That's the emotionality behind that song. And then the rest of it, I mean, it's a really diverse album. Hey Man Nice Past was like named that because there's the album earlier in the year named that, and I didn't know what to call that. So the song Hey Man Nice Past, which isn't on the album Hey Man Nice Past, but that was a leftover from Fast Life. I just took the beat out, and that was when I like had no idea what I was doing. So I took the beat out and just made it some like ambient, like heavy ambient kind of thing, like a too much going on kind of ambient thing. Just some beatless song. And Falling Out of Love Forever was like this like music theoretically conceptual or whatever the fuck. It's like the Stepford effect, but it's just this sensation, kind of this quality I kind of discovered when I was listening to Art Tatum, and it's like a love that knows no end, but like at this point I was closer to heartbroken than in some kind of stable relationship love that will never end. It was just some wild idea I had once in college, and I just turned it into a song. And Paul Dano and Cosmological Horror were gonna be on a non-album single, but I just stuck them on this album, and it turned out good anyway. Paul Dano was like just some sort of like FM synth EDM kind of thing, just with not a lot going on, but it just sounds cool. And Cosmological Horror, that was done with Dex. And it's just some really frantic thing. And most of the time is one that my friend really likes. And that one is just like some big payoff song at the end of the album before the ambient leg starts. It's just a really happy upbeat song. Like another one of the like sheer joy kind of things that I kind of honed in on. And then the rest of it is beatless. Hey Man Nice Fate is a good one. That started on the piano. And it's just got a nice quality to it. Something about it is really like promising or something. And Autumn Mornings was one that I think went on a little bit too long, is a little too repetitive. And this is way back in the album, but it's track 5. but like I thought it just straight up was, this is like almost too complex to sound good. And I swear to God, there's no wrong notes or anything going on. It's just because the chords are so ridiculous that the melody doesn't sound like it's making any sense. But that, it's an interesting song. And then Dogger Learns How to Talk is just like one of my first groanier, super slow songs. And hadn't quite got it yet, but who knows, whatever. And then Everything Gone Wrong was just a song I wrote on piano. And I just, the only way I knew how to do it with the synthesizer, the way that I could do it was do something not flashy and just really bare bones and with the sine wave and something kind of stridey, ragtimey. And Everything Gone Wrong, the name is just, it was, I didn't know what to call it, and then I just came up with that, and then people seem to understand that kind of feeling. And I guess, I mean, because really it's just a random piece of music that I made, and there's not really any major concept behind it, but like there's some semblance of like pained emotion in it, mixed in with some nice stuff, which is where the name came from. It's just, you know, whatever. That's that song. And so so this was like the last album that Keffy did the art for, and because they did the song for like the first main album in Impact font. They did the art for that. And then some stuff happened, and then they did the mini album, which I didn't mention, Neo Arcadia. They did that after that stuff had kind of subsided. And so they did album number 9 too. And that's one that for CD Baby I would have to get rid of the text, the words that are there, if you know what I'm talking about. But c'est la vie. And I'm just gonna include this one here. Yeah, this is going on. So this is gonna be like, I'm not even done yet. I'm gonna do an odds and ends of everything. So then I was like done for the year, and then I figured like I just got so bored that I couldn't last the year without making other stuff. So Gradual Decline, it came out first thing in 2023. But it was like the last one made. It was originally going to be split into 2 EPs, but those pretty much just made up the 2 sides of the album. So Groovin' Ghosts is like one where it's just like I was just firing on all cylinders out of nowhere. I was trying to do something really housey. Lucking Out was like building on the 707 YM2612 sort of idea, but infusing it with more like hardcore elements or whatever, just making the drums really hard and really fast. Call Me Hands was just like some mellow song. Bubbly Boy was like a last hurrah for like the Jupiter 6 plugin that I used. What's Your Stratus Status is a play on like the stratosphere. It doesn't, it kind of takes on a different meaning, but it's like Stratos. Like if I named it like that, then it's just a goofy name. Just don't give me any shit for it. That song's probably my least favorite. Dread Tech was my attempt at making like a weird song, like my friend Kamaratio, like before we started talking or anything like that. And then Andromeda in Your Temple was like for Gravity Break, and it's like the only thing I ever uploaded there, and it lost anyway, and it was like up against my friend, and he won, so it didn't really go anywhere. It was something about like stargazing was the prompt. So Andromeda in Your Temple. Shell Shaka was made after a very bad schizophrenic episode, and I thought that like it was just something to do with trauma that made it so bad. Like I was like the first one that was really bad, and then it would. This is a thing I'll probably if you want an explanation for this kind of thing, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And it's just sitting there with a million thoughts going through your brain and not being able to do anything about it. And just having to just have some external stimulus to get through. And so that was like the first time that happened. So Shell Shaka is about that. Like at the butt end of 2022. And Icarus at 21. It was just like some heavy song or something. Dance Floor Police Coming Through was supposed to be like a house track. Hooked on the Brothers is like some emotronica kind of chiptune kind of thing. Something really important sounding, I guess. And Angelicus Bordelicus is one of my favorites because that was like a real ass hurrah for the 32-bit Jupiter 6 plugin VST, and it's just like some hard-hitting, sentimental EDM thing, and it's pretty cool because for a pretty simplistic synth, like I really I think I got some cool sounds out of it on that song. And it sounds like Victorious. And it's really good. And there you go. That's the albums. The whole discography, all 10 albums from 2022. And I guess that's just a long ass video of me talking about, I guess there's not even that much behind the scenes stuff, but I mean there's just a little testimony and like a little bit of proof that it was actually made. And yeah, so it was just a really wild year, and it was coupled with lots of drugs, light drugs. Like I started vaping that year instead of smoking cigarettes, and then eventually I was really interested in drinking a lot and just having beer and like IPA and that sort of thing. And it took a while for it to like, and being on anti-Ps and stuff, which is something no one should ever do, but I guess people still just do anyway, and they get away with it, because I didn't get away with it, because it's really, things are really hard for me, and have been pretty much since like December 2022, and there was just, so creatively I ended on a high note, but I ended personally on kind of a low note, because it was like a small sample of worse things to come for that sort of thing, for just drinking a lot, smoking a lot of weed, and I don't think the weed was like super that bad, but Yeah, so I'll probably talk about that more in the video for next year. But I'm just gonna, yeah. So you got the 10 albums. Oh, and Gradual Decline was made from someone who is a really good, very very great young artist. Um, and I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I tried to pay him as much as I could. It's based off of Plaid's album Spokes, because I always love that album cover. So he would go on. Yeah, he's just someone I knew from the Magic Window, the Boards of Canada server on Discord. I just got in touch, and this was his first album doing art for me, and really only out of two. He did this one, and then he did one other one, and then he's been too busy, and I just kind of forget about him, and I gotta check in on him. He also did the art for the video for the album, one of the albums for the next year, like the promo art, and oh, he also did he did 3 album covers for me. I gotta check in with him again, see if he's doing all right. So there you go. Here's the odds and ends section, and I'm gonna take the hat off, but not in this video. It'll just magically disappear. Okay, so this is everything else I did in 2022. That wasn't a major album. I did a little single. I mean, it started out with Purple Dawn EP, and there's like a lot of square waves and stuff on that. It's just not really up to snuff, but like Alice Regina Nova and Rosy Face, like those are pretty decent songs. I started doing that after. Yeah, I mean, I just had a bunch of songs saved up, so I saved it for that. And I just made it really quick, and that was just an EP. I did the art for that, and then there was a single, and there was some confusion about the art, but yeah, I also did the art for that, and that has like a B-side on it. It's called Space Opera. It's just something that I cut from the EP for some reason that probably could have gone on it. And then there's 2 piano demos. And then I did Barnacle Music, which was an EP. And Cam Collins did the art for that. That was his first art. That was the first piece of art that he did for me this year. I mean in 2022. So that's got like Happy Hardcore Batman on it. And it was just really early on. And there was originally that cover of the Uyama Hiroto theme from theme remix of Nujabessa's song Thank You, which is just a Pat Metheny song, and that's only on YouTube because I don't want Pat Metheny to come after me. Love the guy. But yeah, so that's got some stuff. And then the Violet Reverberations had a single, and I'll just read off the B-side name. It's Your Future as a Rapper / Stockbroker in the Tropics is Looking Good. And then there was Return the then after that I made Say Hello to My Strife Wife, and that was like supposed to be with like hardcore techno. And you know that one song that I did that's like really bad and it sucks and I don't want anyone to hear it, but I didn't think about that before I put it out with CD Baby? Cerebral Shit? Yeah, that was like a warm-up for this EP. But this EP, Jellyfish was just really rude and mean sounding and just really ridiculous and extreme. And now I was like, oh, I gotta, this is good, and people told me they don't like it, and that's okay, because you know, it's okay. Some people just only like chill music and that's it. And they're very shallow and stuff. But that's their taste. So you know, yeah. So that has some good stuff on there. And right after that, and before I did Hey Man Nice Pass, I did Return the Stabs, which had an EP, which was like some EDM EP. So like the first thing was like my first attempt at just doing like a glam house kind of thing, which was like based on Carrier District 3, the song called Dick by Carrier District. You know, that uses a very poetic title. I like loved that song at the time. I really wanted to do something like it. So the song "Return the Stabs" is it's based on that. And then there's some other stuff on that. And I actually remastered those, and for the time being, those are the only ones that are gonna get remastered. But the other ones that I'll probably remaster will be like Hey Man Nice Pass, Beetleborg album, New Arcadia, and Giha. And then that'll be, because that's all that needs to be remastered. And it's possible it might not happen because my old computer just doesn't work. So then there was Cosmos as a single, and the B-side was originally going to be the A-side, and it was the 8-minute long Terminal Stillness. And a fun fact about that is that it completely unplanned, it added up to like exactly 10 minutes. And I did the art for the single. And with a mouse. And yeah, no one really likes this song. But then if I show people the remake, and then they go back to the old song, they're like, I like this better. But like no one liked it at the time, and it's like this whole thing. And so Neo Arcadia was a mini album. I think it's like 19 minutes. And Keffy did the art for that. It's just got all loads of stuff on it. And my favorite off of that is Heaven Choir Spiral Staircase, because it's just really, really intense sounding. Yeah, well, yeah, so that's Neo Arcadia, the mini album. And then that's when I started the Professional Confessional series. So the first one, for those who don't get what it's all about, it's just like outtakes and stuff. And so the first one was like 80 tracks. And just had a bunch of piano, and had a bunch of leftover stuff from like ever since I started making music. And yeah, so I have like 5 of those, and it's just outtakes and fun stuff. And then I did the EP Dove after Vicious Cycle. And the thing was, and my friend Super Bubba is on that. He did a solo on the jazz song, and I did the art for that. The theme of that EP was like 4-letter songs that, or 4-letter words that started with D, and it's a nice little EP. And then I did Nostalgia Afterglow as a single. And it has the B-sides Abandonment of Self and Celestial Hold. And Abandonment of Self was like deliberately like a B-side, like I just made it for this single. But Celestial Hold was something for the ambient leg of Yamaphonic Bliss. That was like too busy. or something. It's really good, but it just wasn't ambient or calming enough. And either way, the stuff I was doing that was ambient back then just kind of didn't have the same sort of feel as the stuff I'm doing now. And then I did a Perco piano and put that out on a single. Perco piano was a melody that I wrote back in 2020, like when I was kind of in my rut musically. And so I just did my take on it as I would have done it at that time in 2022, and I think that came out in November. And then the B-side is I Got Earthworm Jim for Christmas, and that's a Christmas song, just because it sounds jazzy. And yeah. And I wanted to do another Christmas song, and so it's like a chiptune Christmas song. You know. And so, and then Groove and Ghost had a single, and that had a B-side. And then I did Show Some Pep, which was supposed to just be really like chip punk, something like that, something really fast and heavy and ridiculous and hardcore, but with the YM2612 sound font. And the art really looks like shit, and I kind of want to just redo it because it's so bad. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's it. So this just serve as a testimony to that year. Yeah, I just got a lot of shit done, and before that, it took me a lot longer to make anything. But because I'm disabled and shit, and I don't have a job. So luckily, in that time that I've not had a job, I haven't just wasted my time, and I've been able to make all this music. And I'm very impatient. And I like to think that my albums are of decent enough quality that that if I really waited a whole year and had a year's worth of material, like that would just be like, I'm sure it'd be interesting or something, but that would just be such a waste of everything else that I made. I mean, granted, like, and it's a lot of practice writing music. And I think it's worth it. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, thanks for watching.